In this video, we're going to go through the interactive map from the ward demographic tool. So when you open the map, it'll default to the ward boundaries of the ward you've purchased. Up in the top left, there is a menu of all the different map layers. So I'm going to step through them one by one to give you an idea of how you can get the best from this map. So let's start at the bottom. All wards, if you zoom out, will show your ward, its boundaries relative to all of the other wards in your municipality. As you hover over each ward, it gives you some extra information like the population, how many councillors for that ward, and how many households. You can zoom in and out using the scroll wheel on your mouse or this menu up here. Next, let's go to census population and households. So you will see here that not everywhere is highlighted. That's because there will be some parts of your ward that don't have houses. Each of these little shapes are called an SA1. An SA1 is the smallest statistical unit from the ABS census where you can get information on population, households, and other things. And so these shapes are coming from the Australian census, and we'll have more on that later. So this is a useful layer for planning your letter drops or potentially how to prioritize your time for door knocking and visits. The deeper the colour is, the more dense the population. So you'll be able to cover or meet more potential voters in these darker coloured SA1s. And it will be helpful for how to distribute flyers if you are distributing to friends for everyone to carry about the right amount of houses, the right amount of flyers for the amount of households in the area they're going to deliver to. There's also a spreadsheet that comes with the ward demographic tool if it's easier for you to see for each SA1 the different characteristics from the map. Next, let's go on to the renting versus homeowners layer. Again, we're using the SA1 shapes, but instead when you hover this time, it's got information on the living situation of the residents of each SA1. This has got some helpful information as a prospective counsellor because it gives you an idea of the economic situation of the people in each neighbourhood. Areas that have got particularly high mortgage ownership may be under more financial pressure at the moment with interest rates. And also, renters don't have to pay rates directly and still consume council services. And so they may be less sensitive to rates than those residents who might have a mortgage or own their house outright. So these are a couple of ways that you might get some value from this layer on the map. Next, let's go to the CEFA. CEFA, if you don't know, is a measure of socioeconomic disadvantage or advantage in Australia. If you Google it, there's lots of good information from the ABS, but the way to look at it is this CEFA decile number when you hover gives a number between 1 and 10, which shows the level of disadvantage or advantage. So the higher the number, the more affluent or wealthy is your community in your ward. So here we've got a much sort of better, well-off sort of set of houses and communities to the one next door. We've got CEFA 5, CEFA 7. So the extremes of the colours give you a bit of a clue. So we've got 4 is in the lighter colour here, and the darker colour are the more affluents. We've got a 7 over here. So that's how that works. This might give you an idea of some of the economic strains or some of the priorities of the residents of your ward. Finally, we are back to where we started. This is sort of helpful if you want to use this for screenshots in any particular maps, or if you want to zoom in to see the exact precise boundaries that are gazetted from the Victorian government. And that's a video on how to use the map layers. I hope you find it useful for your campaign.